There are a plethora of reasons why I love the Sonic franchise, from the music, to the characters, to the stories, but none of that would matter if the games themselves weren't fun to play. Thankfully, many of them are, and that's largely in part of strong level design. So in today's video, I want to explore a simple question: what does make a Sonic level great? And more importantly, what does this have to do with baking a cake? I've thought about it a lot, and I think I have a pretty solid answer, so let's get right into today's video. This is what makes or breaks a Sonic stage. So let's not waste any time going over the full history of Sonic's level design. Instead, I want to use what I know to compare the good levels to the not so great ones. Also, to preface, this is from a perspective of casual gameplay, so skips and exploits won't be factored into this. So let's get started. The most important element of a great Sonic level is flow state. You've probably heard this term before, but what does it actually mean? In simple terms, it's when the player can keep moving forward with minimal interruption, chaining inputs naturally without needing to stop or wait. So for example, in Sonic Generations Radical Highway, the very first section lets you either take a straightforward path, or if you're observant, you notice a dash ring off to the side that leads to a faster route that rewards timing and skill. Then you can either homing attack a group of robots, or take an alternate path that uses these beams where you can flip over and pass through all of the platforming section. This is what flow looks like. Options, skill checks, and speed all coming together. Now let's compare that to Marble Zone from Sonic 1, where you're forced to wait for slow-moving platforms. You can't skip them, and there's no way to keep moving without game-breaking tricks. That is the opposite of flow. Another trap is what I like to call fake speed or fake flow. Sonic Colors has flashy, fast sections that feel fast, but lack meaningful input. You're basically just watching Sonic go and not really guiding him in any way. And although I love Sonic Adventure 2, and don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing this level in any sort of way, it's the same with the gun truck chase from City Escape. It's visually intense, but you're mostly just holding forward, and it's more of a set piece than a gameplay challenge. Sonic levels often get compared to rhythm games, and for a good reason, because it's about timing, precision, and consistent input. Slightly mistime a jump or a boost, and you lose momentum, but when you nail it, it feels amazing. So Japes, what does this have to do with baking a cake? And trust me, I will get to that, but we'll save that for the end of the video. So let's move on to the next category, which is speed. Naturally, speed is a major ingredient in these levels because Sonic's identity is entirely built around this. So let's look at the different kinds of speed that we see in Sonic games. First is your momentum-based speed, where players build up velocity through slopes and loops. Second is artificial speed, where Sonic gains speed through use of dash panels and boost pads. A good Sonic game balances both. Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 are so beloved because it rewards you for building up speed and using it skillfully, letting you access new paths or secrets. Now this is not to say that artificial speed is bad per se, because I do think it has its place in Sonic levels, but overusing dash panels, like in some Sonic Frontiers mini stages, removes player agency and makes it feel like the level is on rails. Kinda walked into that one, didn't I? In my opinion, speed should be a reward, not a default. Classic 2D Sonic games nail this by giving you bursts of speed after tough platforming sections. This is what creates that balance, moments of tension, followed by moments of release. Then there's the boost mechanic, which I would consider to be a form of artificial speed. At first it might seem to counter the idea of earned speed, but boosting works if it's paired with challenge. Hazards, platforming, and branching paths that require skill can make boosting feel earned and exhilarating. I think that the main difference between boost and other forms of artificial speed is that when you're boosting, you still have to control Sonic through these hazards, and when you're going through a dash panel or a loop-de-loop, it's more of a spectacle to where you can step back and take a breather for a bit before going into more platforming sections. So then the question remains, how does this relate to cake? We got 2 more sections to cover before that, so just bear with me for another 2 moments. So in the next section, we're going to be talking about difficulty and ranking. Even if a level nails flow and speed, it won't be satisfying without a challenge. Difficulty is what adds stakes. If a level is too easy, it becomes forgettable, and if it's too difficult, it becomes frustrating. Take City Escape versus Metal Harbor in Sonic Adventure 2. Both are fantastic levels. City Escape has iconic music, fun flow, and solid speed, but it's easy. The intro on the board, you just hit a button on the ramps, and even if you mess up, there's little consequence. Even if you don't land tricks on these ramps, you can still build up your score enough to get the A rank. Metal Harbor, on the other hand, demands more from the player right from the start, chaining homing attacks over water, executing precise light dashes, and branching off mid-air to hit the golden beetle. Later in the stage, there's a timed rocket silo section that challenges your precision. And when I say challenges, I mean it challenges you. This level barely gives you enough time to execute the homing attack chain that you need to do in order to get to the top of the rocket in order to get the A rank. Since it's more difficult, it enhances the fun that you have. But of course, it's a double-edged sword because challenge has to be fair. Labyrinth Zone and Scrap Brain Zone are infamous for being more punishing than fun. Difficulty should test your skills and not punish you for playing. Then there's ranking systems. A competent ranking system elevates the stage's replayability, in turn allowing for a player to revisit stages and optimize their routes to find one that gives them the highest rank. To analyze this, let's take a look at two games that have around the same quality of level design, but drastically different ranking systems. Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Generations are both boost games that are fast, have excellent flow state, and give the player a challenge within the stage itself. Sonic Unleashed, however, has a more competent ranking system that is hard to get an S rank even on multiple playthroughs. This forces a player, as previously mentioned, to revisit the stage and try to shave off more time, or even familiarize themselves more with the layout in order to get the S rank. This delay in satisfaction allows the moment when you do finally get the S rank to be far more enjoyable. And on the other hand, Sonic Generations hands out S ranks like it's Halloween candy. Even when you mess up a lot of these stages, the game feels inclined to grant you these S ranks for no reason. All it basically requires you to do is get to the end of the level without dying. So if failure doesn't mean anything, then why should success mean anything either? We have one more section before we finally get to how this relates to Cake, and that is the presentation. Presentation, in my opinion, includes aesthetics, set pieces, and music. Now this category might not be as critical as flow or speed, but this can elevate a level from great to unforgettable. In general, Sonic games thrive on weird and creative level design. Unlike Mario's beach, grass, and lava tropes, Sonic blends and bends genres. Marble Zone in Sonic 1 is a stone ruin over a grassy plain that is filled with magma at the bottom of its surface. Sandopolis is part desert and part haunted tomb. Rail Canyon in Sonic Heroes is a blend of Wild West canyons and bullet train insanity. Great Sonic levels often fuse two contrasting ideas or fully lean into the fantasy. This unorthodox approach to level aesthetics really gives Sonic its own identity. Then you've got set pieces. Those big, surprising moments that stick with you. You've got City Escape's gun truck chase, Hydrocity's water slides, Lost Jungle's giant croc chase, Rooftop Run's clock tower, etc, etc. These set pieces aren't just cool, they define their levels. When you think of Sky Sanctuary, you think about the giant floating islands. When you think of Crazy Gadget, you think about that colorful platforming section. And when you think about Lost Impact, you think about... Another important aspect of presentation is the music, and luckily, Sonic Team almost always gets this right. If I'm playing a stage for 3, 5, even 10 minutes straight, you better believe that I want to be listening to a banger of a track. If the music doesn't elevate the stage or complement it, it's going to ruin the overall experience. I made 2 videos on my favorite Sonic OST, which is Sonic Heroes, so if you're interested in those videos, the title card will be somewhere on the screen. So okay, let's finally get to the metaphor that I have been teasing this entire video. How is this related to Cake? So let's go back to the first category. The flow state is arguably the most important aspect of making a Sonic level great. This is much like your raw ingredients to making a cake. You have your eggs, butter, flour, vanilla, milk, etc. You put that in a pot and you mix it all up, you have yourself some cake batter. Yeah, you can eat the batter raw and it'll probably taste delicious, but it's not what makes a cake a cake. Plus you might get salmonella. This cake batter goes for almost any platforming game, and like how the batter isn't cake, the flow state isn't what entirely makes a Sonic level a Sonic level. Next, we have the speed. And speed is a lot like baking the cake. You don't want to have too little speed or else the level, much like the cake, is going to be undercooked. You don't want it to be only speed either, because then your flow state will be impacted and you'll be left with a burnt cake. So you need to balance it in order to bring out the flavor, so to speak. Next is your difficulty, which is much like the icing on the cake. If your Sonic level has no difficulty, regardless of how perfect your speed and flow state is, it won't end up feeling like a satisfying level. Much like a cake, you don't want to have no icing at all, because then regardless of how perfect you mixed it or how long you baked it for, it'll still end up dry and unsatisfying. The same goes for the opposite direction, where if it's too hard, then it's not fun and enjoyable, just like if you slop icing all over the cake. You basically just have some frosting with a side of bread. Like, sure, you technically have a cake, but how would you feel if this showed up at your birthday party? And lastly is the presentation, and this one is a pretty obvious metaphor. If your Sonic level has the perfect balance of flow state, speed, and difficulty, it's probably already an A tier or even S tier stage. But the aesthetics, the set pieces, and the music are what elevate the level to its highest potential. Similar to a cake, Yeah, if you mix the ingredients perfectly, bake it to the optimal temperature, and add the perfect amount of frosting, that cake is probably really good. But what if you added decorations and some pictures or figures on that cake? Well, then now it's a party. Sonic team, congratulations for 34 years of Sonic. So that is the video. I hope you enjoyed the analogy and hopefully it made sense. Definitely leave a like if you liked the video and comment on what you think about what makes a Sonic level great. I want to respond to each and every one of you guys, so definitely hit the comment section below. And of course, if you haven't already, definitely hit the subscribe button. Whether it's movies, TV shows, or video games, I will be talking about it right here. Thank you guys so much for watching again. Thank you for 1,119 subscribers. My name is Japes, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.